Hey, what's going on? This is Martone, owner and trainer of Fuller Fitness, and with this one, doing dumbbell chest presses. And with this video, I think I'm just going to do incline, and the goal. Hopefully, I'm good with it, especially um, with the plan that I have for this week, which is to do multiple sets of two. Um, that's just nothing special about it. Uh, at least nothing that I know of. Nothing special about it, but for me, that's just the fun that I was hoping to have for this week and for the foreseeable future. This week, hopefully next week. Um, and just being able to move a certain amount of weight, nothing too crazy, move a certain amount of weight without the focus of trying to do an overabundance of reps. So again, to do that this week, I'll hopefully do it again next week, and just have fun in a different way compared to what I've been doing for about a month or close enough to it. So, with this, I got 125 on, and hopefully I'm actually able to do it because I was going to do a set before starting the video, but I didn't. So I'm going to find out together on whether or not I can do this, and if I have to decrease the weight, which I usually don't have to do. So hopefully this is not one of those days. So unlike most people, I actually count the first one. So technically, I think, and the way I would count it, I just did 3. So felt really good too, which I expected it to. So off to a good start. Um, and so depending on where you are in your journey when it comes to doing your chest presses with dumbbells, at least. The interesting thing about it with lifting, and it should be obvious to certain people, in terms of how you feel. If you don't understand, I kind of get it. But when you go to do a shoulder press with dumbbells, a chest press with dumbbells, and sometimes you wonder on whether or not how heavy you might be able to go on a certain day. If you go to pick up the one dumbbell and it feels really heavy, obviously the other one's going to feel really heavy too. And depending on how heavy it feels, especially if you've lifted heavier than that before, but even if you haven't, when you go to lift it off the floor and it feels super heavy, imagine how heavy that's going to feel once you come back here and try to press it. So my point is, pay attention to your body. Pay attention to how the dumbbells feel when you get ready to pick them up. I believe that's why so many people prefer barbell. I was wondering about that for quite a while. So I believe that's why so many people prefer barbell chest press and shoulder press compared to dumbbells. It being less effort trying to pick them up, less likely to need a spot. Well, I don't know about less likely, but you know, not necessarily needing or wanting as much help to help. You know, certain people, I've never had it. I would like to, but certain people who have workout partners who will pick up the dumbbell for them. Sometimes it's the girlfriend or the wife. So, from what I've seen on Instagram, I definitely never had one of those. So, to have someone pick up the dumbbells and give it to you to save energy. Ronnie Coleman had it too, to where he would, when he went to do hundreds, I think he might have had somebody pick up the 180s for him and gave it to him. I think he might have picked up one, somebody gave him the other. You know, so for those of us who don't have that for whatever the reason, once you go to pick it up the one time, if it feels really heavy when you go to pick it up, and I'm working out at home, so I don't have to walk over to the other side of my apartment, or, you know, if I was at the gym having to walk over to those big ass dumbbells at the end, walk them all the way over, and then even if you kick them over to the bench, kick them over to save energy, then if you, depending on who's there, still having to pick them up. So again, if you actually have people who give them to you, which is one of the reasons I was so interested in power block dumbbells, and they go up to 175. So that's one of the reasons I was so interested in those, because it should be easier for people to pick them up and give them to you if they're strong enough to pick them up at all, and then you go ahead and try to press them. So especially when I have a certain amount of weight on here, and I go to pick them up, and I think there's multiple times where the dumbbells were heavy to pick up, and I was still able to press them. But shit, I mean, and then the fact that I work out by myself, so I mean, I got a better understanding on why people. Certain people, when I ask them if they do dumbbell presses, and they say no with enthusiasm, so more of an understanding towards why I've always seemed to be weirder or more crazy compared to others. With this stuff, at least, if anything, but specifically with this stuff. All right. So normally I would only do 2 sets, but one, it feels good, really good. 2, just to try things at least a little different. Just like for about a month or close enough to it, I was doing sets of 4 or 5. Actually, I did 4 one week, 5 the other week. I might have done 6 another week. So now, I'm almost addicted to doing 2 reps, especially with a certain amount of weight. And then sometimes not even put a lot of weight on and still do 2 reps, and then just try to do them faster, depending on how heavy it is. Like if I do, this is 125. So like if I have 110 on, 105, 100, 95, 90, and you try to do it kind of fast for 3, 4, 5 reps, relax for a bit and do a second or third set. So many different ways to challenge yourself, especially if you are mentally frustrated or bored with your workout. mentally bored or frustrated with your workout, and you know, depending on how much experience some of you have in trying to figure out, should I do this, should I do that, can I do this, can I do that, and then taking a certain amount of time in between sets, hopefully not too much, especially for those of you saying you don't have enough time to work out. So I mean, you know, it seems like a lot, but depending on how much experience you have, and then how well you know yourself. Like if you know that you're talking too much in between sets, looking at your phone, especially with this generation, looking at your phone for who knows how long, looking at Instagram, YouTube, and whatever the heck else that you're looking at while you're doing your workouts. Interesting thing is, I got a new follower on Instagram and a new follower on YouTube today. And I know that for sure because I actually met the person. Real big guy too. So, you know, it's doing stuff like this, and one, to help younger people who haven't done certain things yet, and hopefully to help you get stronger faster than I did. It took longer than I believe it should have to be able to press 125. Due to the fact that the gym that I went to growing up, they only had hundreds, you know, and I didn't know where to go, you know, to which gym to try to go to try to lift is, you know, heavier than that, or knowing where to go to buy dumbbells heavier than that. So thankfully for me, being curious enough, you know, going to certain places and asking if they had certain equipment, and somebody told me about these Olympic dumbbells, and I've done, as some of you have seen on here, how heavy I've gone. So I mean, you know, and then for those of you who don't know yet, you know, the heavy ass loads I put on there to press and shoulder shrug and RDL. So, you know, like I said, just one to try, you know, and then when you try, hopefully you don't go from pressing 50-pound dumbbells and then all of a sudden see me or somebody else pressing some heavy dumbbells and all of a sudden, yeah, I'm gonna try that. You know, yeah, I understand wanting to do that, but to be dumb enough to do it, enjoy the process. You know, I don't like the fact that it took as long as it did, but the fact that I can actually do 125, and that's not my max for those of you who are watching for the first time and don't know. It's not my max, but my point is the fact that I didn't know I could do this at all before. And then I got to a certain age where somebody brought in 120-pound dumbbells at the gym I went to in the city I lived in, that I'm from. What was that, like 11 years ago? So, you know, brought those 120s in, and as soon as my shift was over that night, I wasn't supposed to be doing chest, but as soon as my shift was over that night, I ran down to the floor and pressed those 120s just to see if I can do it. I did 8 reps at the first try. Got excited, you know, about doing rows and presses, shoulder presses and incline presses and more flat bench presses, flies, just all this other stuff I was excited to do and try. And so now, again, I had already been doing 100-pound dumbbell presses for years at that point. So the fact that that person brought those 120s in and I ran down there to do it, that's only a 20-pound difference. So my point is, depending on how big of a jump you're thinking of making, don't do it. You shouldn't go from 50 to 120. So again, and that's just depending on where some of you are. So I mean, obviously if you're close enough to 120, you want to try to go for it, I guess, but you know, depending experience, your age, your experience, whether you have a spotter, you know, don't go from, you know, don't try to make a 70-pound jump depending on how much experience you have. And then the interesting thing is, however many sets I end up doing, I usually don't do 3, but however many sets I end up doing, I'm always curious. Just because you did it the first set, don't mean you can do it again. You know, whether being tired, not taking enough time in between reps, whatever it is, just because you lifted a certain load the first set, don't mean you'll be able to do it a second or third or fourth set. And then some people are doing, a lot of people are doing too many sets, especially do so many sets per exercise. So, but one, I'm only doing one more set than I usually do, and then 2, this is the only exercise that I'm recording for this video. Alright, let's get it on. It's only 3 sets, and it's only about 3 reps. And it's only 125, not my max. Let's get it on. Three. By any chance, if anyone is curious about what kind of dumbbells I'm using, obviously you see these big ass 35s and that I'm using. I'm using a dumbbell from Kensui Fitness. I do have a link that you can go to get these, as well as any of the other products they have on there. Even though it seems like the fucking link doesn't work, I do have one. And I think this will be the last time I try to use it, because it seems like it doesn't work. I can see that people are looking at the link, but I know for certain there's been some purchases using that link and nothing happened, at least as far as me being compensated. So this will be the last time. I'm obviously going to still use the dumbbells because I want to. I bought them because I want to. But as far as having a link to share with you guys, I'll put that down, below, and you can go on there and get these dumbbells that supposedly hold up to 150 pounds, but I've seen a video where, and I'm hoping to do it soon too, to where someone, he had 168 pounds on his dumbbells, which is interesting because he used 45-pound plates, and I think I've actually tried. So you can press 45-pound plates with dumbbells, but you know, maybe it's different for me because my arms are bigger, but to try to come down, the plates like hit your shoulder or your biceps like immediately as soon as you try to go down. So I mean, for those who don't care about that, then then go for it. But these are Kensui dumbbells. For those who haven't seen my videos or forgot what kind of dumbbells I use compared to the Olympic dumbbells I had been using for over 10 years. No, I think it's over 9. Yeah, it might have been about 10 years. Close enough to 10 years if not, but I think it's been over 10 years. I think I bought these Olympic dumbbells before I was 30. Definitely before I was 31. But I think before I was 30, I think. or when I was 30. I can't remember, but I've had these dumbbells for over 9 years. I'm just not sure how much more than that. The Olympic dumbbells. So then as far as the Kensui dumbbells, I've had these dumbbells for less than a year and still trying to figure out how heavy I can go with these, and obviously how heavy they can handle, because on the website it says 150, but I did see somebody do 168 with these. So, and then I've said it in others, so in case some of you haven't seen that, using these for those of us who are strength training and trying to lift us heavier loads. I don't think any of us are trying to do supersets. So even though you're setting these adjustable dumbbells up, and it might seem to take a certain amount of time to do it, since you're not supersetting, hopefully it doesn't matter as much, depending on how much time it's taking. Like sometimes it does take me more time than it probably should, and it pisses me off. But I actually make sure, which a lot more people should be doing, that I'm doing my work. One, not doing an over too many sets like a lot of people do, and I actually know where the weights are, so I can actually put them on. So it's just adjusting the piece to tighten the plates to where that's annoying for me. But you know, if you can get over how much time that takes, which isn't a lot. Sometimes it does take me a lot, but it shouldn't. So if you are able to remember better which pieces to put on, whether it's this or the longer piece to where you can put heavier weights on, if you can remember that better than I can, then maybe you'll be able to do it faster than I do. Putting a certain amount of weight on, doing your chest presses, doing your shoulder presses. You can also use them for bicep curls without the overhang smacking you in the chin or anything like that, like it would if for those who have Olympic dumbbells. So yeah, just play around with the numbers. How many sets you do, hopefully not too many. Play around with the number of reps that you do. That part is up to you in terms of how many and why. And then how much time you take in between sets, and have fun with it. I mean, depending on what you're doing this stuff for, have fun with it. Even if you're doing it for the reasons that I'm doing it, which is one, to have fun, and two, to make it to where when you're doing some of this stuff, that if the emergency comes up, you are strong enough and fast enough to handle the emergency. You know, I've actually had at least 3 occasions where somebody was about to fall, and had I not have been there, the person might be paralyzed or dead had I not have caught them. So, especially the first time that happened, I had no idea I was strong enough to do it. So the other 2 times that I caught 2 people and saved them from being paralyzed or dead while at work, they are very lucky, and thankfully they were appreciative that I caught them. And you know, especially the woman that I caught, because she shouldn't have been in that truck anyway. So the fact that she's lucky I was paying attention to the dumb shit she was doing, you know, and I'm unloading trucks at FedEx, and I just kept looking up at her, like, you know, hey, watch your step, hey, watch your step. She misstepped and almost fell down to where, again, if she'd have fell on that hard-ass floor, she'd have been paralyzed or dead, likely, you know, or something, you know. And luckily for her, I saw her falling. I don't remember if, I think I caught her and then just put her back up to where she was on the, you know, because there's 2 different levels. For those of us who unloaded at FedEx before, there's 2 levels to the truck. So at least where I was. So, you know, to catch her down where I was and then put her back up where she was, even though she shouldn't have been in the truck to begin with. And then the interesting thing is, after that, she just like went into some kind of zone and just walked out of the truck and never got back into one. At least I don't think she did. I hope she didn't. And it's not because of her being a female. She just didn't have a experience and shouldn't have been in there. Then again, there was a guy that she liked. He was in the truck, and I was in the truck helping him. He was in the truck messing around. He went to fall. I caught him differently, so I didn't cradle him. Somehow I caught him with one hand. He was a very thin young guy, so I mean, caught him, put him back up where he was, and just kept doing what I was doing, which had everybody laughing because like, damn, it was that easy, and like, luckily for him, it was. So again, not to be impressive. One, it's fun. Two, I love it. Three, I've actually saved at least 3 lives from either being paralyzed or dead by being kind of strong. And the interesting thing is, when I caught those last 2 people, I wasn't as strong as I am now. So I was in my 30s and still hadn't done certain things yet. So, not to be, if you're trying to be impressive, go for it, I guess. But, to have fun with this stuff, if it is fun for you, and then if certain things happen to where you can possibly save yourself and or others, that's what's important to me. And some people are shocked by that, especially when I tell ladies about it. But many people seem to be shocked by that. But I don't believe in lying. I don't believe in being fake, and I don't believe in doing stuff that seems unnecessary. So, hopefully you enjoyed what I did as far as the chest presses. And then depending on what you got going on in your life, you appreciate the story that I just told about being strong enough, for in case of emergency. And I won't go into the story on how I got started with that stuff 3 decades ago, but you have no idea when something might happen, and instead of having the time to think. And that's the good thing about practice for those who hate practice. It's not for the sake of being fun. I mean, if you can have fun while at practice, go for it. But to do stuff so that way when situations happen, you don't have to try to think of all these scenarios if, depending on what's going on. And sometimes you can just react and actually do what can be, should, and probably should be done in a safe manner. So, like I said, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you pressed a like. Not only does it help me, it'll help others who are interested in stuff like this. I would have loved to seen videos like this in the 1990s when I was growing up. So I had more of an idea of what was possible. And on that same bit, to share it with people who might be interested. And even if you're not sure, share it for just in case certain people might be interested. Yes, that helps me, but again, for the sake of helping someone who's actually interested in this stuff, because I would have loved to have seen it when I was growing up in the 1990s as a preteen and even as a teen. And then subscribe, so that way if you like this video at least a little bit, because there's more of it. If you look through my channel and see other stuff, and I've actually lifted heavier than this as far as incline, and definitely as far as flat. So subscribe so that you are, instead of having to look around for stuff, you can actually go to my channel or get a notification that I actually posted, and watch it to see if whatever it is I'm doing, whether it's dumbbells, barbells, plyometrics, calisthenics, if I said that correctly. So just, it won't be the same whenever I do stuff, as far as sets, reps, equipment. Whether I'm inside, I don't remember the last time I posted a video outside, but I might actually do that. It's been cold where I am. It's supposed to be somewhat of a heat wave today, but so just subscribe so that you can keep up with it, at least for those that are interested. And hope to see you soon. This is Marcel, owner and trainer of Fuller Fitness. Take care.